Coming up.
Oh, yes, this is perfect. This was always meant to happen.
Is it?
Is that full science?
Maybe sit down and have lunch together.
You don't do bread.
I bet you do.
I know what she's saying. We're on the same page.
Did I completely crucify it?
Core, blimey, she's not getting much sleep, is she?
No, I would have felt a right plank doing that.
How do you say that?
Take one for the team, Mark.
Get yourself some big shoulders.
Are we talking Joan Collins in Dynasty shoulders?
Come on.
This is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Oh.
No, you didn't completely crucify it.
Colin, can we sort that out, please?
It's a joy every week.
And now, enjoy the podcast.
How do you say that?
How do you say that?
How do you say that?
How do you say that? Hello, and welcome to How Do You Say That, sponsored by BritishVoiceover.co.uk. Here's my co-host, Samantha Boffin.
Hello.
Hello.
And here is my co-host, Mark Rice.
Hello, hello. If you're new to this podcast, this is what it's all about. Every week we set out to prove there isn't just one way to read a script, there are loads of different ways.
And we do that by inviting a very special guest onto the show. And we bring a script and they bring a script and we all get to give them both a read.
Indeed, and we get to play true or false. So, Sam, here's one from me. Whenever I can't sleep, I put on Gardener's Question Time on BBC Sounds.
Oh, God.
True or false?
My God. That does sound like a very British thing to do. And I like to think that you do that,
I do,
Mark.
absolutely. I do.
you?
I find it very soporific. I never get through a whole episode. I put it on in the background and fall right back to sleep again.
So in fact, you can have it for the whole week.
Yeah, totally.
Same episode. It's all the same to you. Okay, right. So, Mark.
Yes.
Through all my pregnancies, my craving was for lemon sorbet. Is that true or false?
Oh, I would have thought your craving would be for gin and tonic, to be fair, knowing you. Lemon sorbet is a poor second, but I'm going to go true on that.
Yes, it is
Nice.
true. I ate bucket loads of the stuff and I love it. Yes, so there you go. Yes, it was true.
Well, let's welcome our special guest, voiceover Alix Perry. Hello, Alex.
Hello there.
It's lovely to have you along.
Thank you so much for having me. It's delightful to be here.
I think it's going to be fun today. Let's find out a little bit more about Alex, shall we?
Yes, so Alix is a multi-award nominated voiceover artist with 7 years under her belt, having started her journey behind the mic in 2018. And before that, she'd earned a BA Honours degree in television and creative writing. That's so exciting. And spent her time writing comedy scripts, because who doesn't love making people laugh? And she also worked in music venues around London because she loves live music.
Nice. Well, all the script writing, editing and people skills she picked up along the way have turned out to be the perfect fit for her voiceover career. Now she's great at cracking scripts, connecting with audiences and delivering high-quality audio that leaves clients saying, well, yes, that's exactly what we needed. So,
Do they say it like that, though?
Well, some of them might. You never know. Alex, what's your fun fact, please?
When I was younger, I lived in a pub. My mum was a landlady.
Ooh.
Get out of my pub.
Yeah, I have my bedroom exercised. You weren't expecting that. I know, right? I knew you were going to
Like
be like,
an
what?
exorcism.
Go.
Yeah.
You had your bedroom
my God.
exorcised.
Yeah, because turned out, according to the Ghostbusters that came in to the pub, they were like, you've got loads of people in your pub. And my mum was like, yeah, weird stuff happens sometimes. And then they went into my room and they were like, core, blimey, she's not getting much sleep, is she? And at that point, I wasn't having a very good time. And I was like, there's ghosts in my room, mum.
You genuinely thought there were ghosts in your room?
Yeah. I was having an
So
absolute
this was-
breakdown. Yeah,
Wow.
legit. Yeah, so I was like 14 and
Wow.
I wouldn't sleep in my room and loads of stuff happened. Anyway, they came, they did some candle stuff. I don't know, we weren't meant to be there. And then and then we went home and then all the shadows had gone in my room and my dog was sitting on my bed wagging her tail, which she wouldn't normally do without me in the room and stuff. So
That's
it was
amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing, but it is weird. And now I've grown up and you tell people and they're like, what? Hang on. Wait. Ghost?
On that spirited story,
Yes, very good.
we are
Woo,
going
woo.
to have a look at the first script of the show and ask, how do you say that?
How do you say that? All right, Sam, so what gem have you brought along this week?
Well, I've brought along a script that is is very much my métier. And possibly not for you, and subject-wise, not
It's
for
about the
Alex either,
menopause,
I would
yeah.
think. Yes, it's about the menopause. So really, of the three of us in this relationship, Possibly it's more me than anyone
Well, let's
else.
get
But
down to brass tacks. Who's
Exactly.
it for? Who's the end audience for this?
the end audience actually are organisations, companies, and it's really part of an employment video.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That does turn it on its head a little bit.
Though, like, just looking at sort of the language in the script and stuff, it makes me think that it's relatively conversational. Like, that's where my head is going.
Yeah.
But now you're saying it's for companies, like as a whole, as like
Yeah.
a group. It makes me feel like it might be more on the corporate sort of side.
No.
I think I mean sensible. Rather than like corporate as sensible, as opposed to like, oh, did you know menopause?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Not that.
I understand what you mean now.
I think your first instinct was probably more on the money, because although yes, it is about a serious subject, I think it's meant to be done in a reasonably relatable way.
Yes, relatable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there is no way a man would ever be employed to read this script.
No,
It would seem mad to me.
It would seem mad. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
if I got this on my desk, I would go back to them and go, are you sure?
Yeah. No, absolutely. It would seem very strange to be read by a man.
But I'll do it for the show.
Exactly. Take one for the team, Mark. Take it for the team.
That's not quite what I meant, but... Right, well, I think I better do this before I get into real trouble.
Okay.
All right. Did you know, statistically speaking, around 20% of any workforce is experiencing some stage of menopause? And 80% of those employees will be suffering from symptoms like sleep problems, mood changes, and difficulty concentrating. Oh, and a whole host of other less talked about stuff. 80% of menopausal women say their organisation has no basic structure in place. But expert menopause support is essential if you want to maintain a happy, successful company. That's where we come in.
Nice. I thought that was very friendly.
Yeah.
And sort of like gentle and not too. It didn't sort of focus in like menopause was like a really negative thing. It's like this is happening. Menopause. It's like no, this is something that happens. It's factual. This is what it is. But hey, we can help. You know, I thought that was nice, inviting.
Yes.
Yes, very good, Mark.
I'm pleased.
Yeah, I think so. Getting around the fact that it probably wouldn't be, as you say, a male script.
No, it wouldn't. No, not at all.
It might be that you lent into some of the language a bit hard.
Okay.
So, but that would be my only critique.
Fair. I think the first paragraph was a bit fast as well, to be fair.
Yeah,
Maybe.
That's
just me, though.
to even discuss that with you, quite frankly. It's a problem, isn't it? When we see things like essential and difficulty and suffering, those sort of things, I'd probably have a lighter touch with those, maybe.
Yeah, you don't want to push those in too much, do you? So it's like suffering from symptoms of the menopause.
Very true.
So,
Did I completely crucify it?
No, you didn't.
No, not at all.
Right, Alex, would you like a go?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right.
Yay. Okay. Did you know, statistically speaking, around 20% of any workforce is experiencing some stage of menopause, and 80% of those employees will be suffering from symptoms like sleep problems, mood changes, and difficulty concentrating. Oh, and a whole host of other less talked about stuff. 80% of menopausal women say their organisation has no basic structure in place, but expert menopause support is essential if you want to maintain a happy, successful company. That's where we come in.
Nice.
It's nice. It was bright. What I noticed, Sam, was Alex has got a very young voice in comparison to the words that she's speaking here. And that jarred a little bit with the script in the same way as a man's voice jars with this script a little bit. But I thought you delivered it really nicely. It would be like almost like a BBC Three programme doing the menopause.
Yeah, like a...
And I thought that worked beautifully.
Yeah.
Cool. I loved it. I loved the fact that there was a fun element to it. I loved the kind of parenthesis over and a whole host of other less talked about stuff. I loved the kind of that there was a bit of we all know what that is, don't we? Kind of thing. There was that kind of which I loved, and there was a lovely kind of light matter of factness about it, which I really liked.
Yeah,
it felt
cool.
really like this was nice, regular kind of, we can chat about this and we're gonna, so I really like that.
Thank you.
I
Well,
loved
that was my aim, essentially. So
No, there you go.
Well, cool.
As a style, light matter-of-factness is really wanted these days.
Yeah, I agree. I've definitely had that
for sure.
fly into my inbox. That's that style, I think.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
Very nice.
I wonder how you did it, Sam. I've got it in my brain how I think you might have done it.
Yeah.
But I want to
Well, I probably did it that way then. Let us see. So, okay. Did you know, statistically speaking, around 20% of any workforce is experiencing some stage of menopause? And 80% of those employees will be suffering from symptoms like sleep problems, mood changes, and difficulty concentrating. Oh, and a whole host of other less talked about stuff. 80% of menopausal women say their organisation has no basic structure in place. But expert menopause support is essential if you want to maintain a happy, successful company. That's where we come in.
Lovely. Not actually
really
what I was
nice.
expecting. It was lighter than I expected you to do it. And when you got to a whole host of other less talked about stuff, that was you sparkled in that, because you'd almost been going, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Oh, but that's not the half of it.
Yeah, but in a really sort of, like you say, in quite a light way.
Yes,
so
and
you didn't.
accessible. And anybody that's going through it would go, yes.
Yeah. Do you know what? I know what she's saying. We're on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the interesting pieces of discussion that we had around it when I was doing this was that because this was going out to people who were high up in the company, probably,
Yeah.
the chances were high that a big percentage of them were very related to this particular subject.
They were in the menopause, or they would have been going through the menopause. So you're
Exactly.
actually talking directly to them.
Yeah.
They're
So-
really going to listen up.
So that was why we wanted to introduce that kind of lightness and that humour to it.
Yeah.
Because we wanted them to feel as though, actually, that less talked about stuff we could talk about now if you want to, guys. Very happy to do
for
it,
sure.
but we're not. We're going to move on to this.
Play, how do you say that? Well, it's worthwhile remembering that these are real scripts we're working on, but we have changed some names and some details to avoid copyright issues. And remember, you can find both the scripts we're using today in the show notes of the episode.
Alex, you have brought along a different kind of a script. So talk us through this one.
Yes. Okay. So this is for a corporate vid that I did last year. And yeah, basically I got sent this script and I was like, wooden pallets. That is fun. I was like, yeah, pallets. But no, so I was a bit like, okay, so how am I going to do this? They did direct me on this. They played me a bit in the music, and the music had a really big difference to or changed my delivery massively.
Oh, wow.
So it's really cinematic and really quite intense and really progresses throughout the track. It's like the script is longer. I've shortened it down.
Oh, so there's quite a build, is there, through it?
Yeah, quite a build, quite punchy, crescendo-y, quite intense. Because I guess if you are trying to sell pallets and that's all you make, then you've really got to lean on the fact that your pallets are pretty. They're the finest pallets in town, you know?
So I must admit, I like the opening line so much because it's like that, right, don't think about elephants, immediately
And that's
think
all you're
about
gonna
elephants.
think about,
I love that. It's such a clever bit of writing, actually.
Yeah, it's
We
great.
don't want you to think about pallets.
I might have to remember that.
Thinking about pallets.
Sometimes, I'll walk into, I don't know, if you go to like a cash and carry or something and you see a pallet, every time I see one, I'm like, we don't want you to think about pallets.
I bet
but here
you
I
do.
am.
I bet you do.
I'm back on pallets again.
I'm loving the pallets.
But yeah, I went from sort of seeing this script and thinking it was just going to be sort of something that I was a bit, not throw away. I don't throw away any of my work, but it does make me, I was a bit like, this might be on the sort of not anything I'll get overly excited about. And then when the video came out, I was like, oh my God, this has got a lot of oomph and power behind it. And I was something that I was really proud of. And I was like, yeah, this is great.
So this is going to probably be a harder read than I was initially expecting.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want you to think about pallets. You've got other things on your mind, like your business, your products. We just make sure they go from A to B to C and back to A. Efficient, hassle-free, and in the most sustainable way. We are that almost invisible foundation, combining future-proof logistics and state-of-the-art technology with a strong natural material. That's our nature. We don't want you to think about pallets, but when you do, let them be red.
Yeah, great. That sounded really, really cool. I liked it.
And you did build. The only criticism I had is I thought you would build more into let them be red.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was maybe a crescendo there, but you didn't do it as a crescendo.
No, I would have felt a right plank doing that. I have
But
to.
if the music is swelling at that point, maybe.
If you want to make that choice, Mark.
You see, I'm being criticised before I've even done it. It's like the thought police, this, Alex.
Because actually, for me, that was a bigger... I mean, obviously, if you've got the music against it, that's one thing. And if you're being directed, that's another thing. But actually, by myself in this little booth, even though I've heard us all say it needs to be big, I kind of... that was bigger than I would normally do that kind of script.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Yeah.
Bigger and a bit harder than you would normally go.
Yeah.
And yet, if I gave you a character that was like bombastic man in a truck, you might have done it 3 times that hard.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as I keep saying to people, we ought to really go bigger so that you're too much, and then it's easier to take you.
You can always pull it back, can't you? Yeah. Get yourself some big shoulders. Puff yourself up a bit.
Oh, I could have a big shoulder jacket that I wear
big shoulder jacket.
Go into the booth.
Yeah. Big shoulders.
Are we talking Joan Collins in Dynasty shoulders?
Yes.
Wow.
The best shoulders.
I think I might adopt that as a possibility.
No,
I'd rustle
do you know
a bit.
what?
That's the only trouble.
It does make a difference, I swear, like when you wear different things in the booth, it can really switch up how your playing behaviour, for sure.
I love that.
I think.
That is a good idea, actually. I might add that to my repertoire.
Yeah.
As long as it's not too noisy, also. We don't want to upset any engineers.
Can't be rustly shoulders.
You can't be just wearing a bin bag because you're like, right, this suits my character really nice, but it's pretty noisy.
All right, then, I'm going to have a go.
Okay.
I'm going to have a go and go slightly bigger than the sound went. All right.
He's going to go big.
Big boy, go.
Yeah, go for the big boys. Exactly right. The big boy pallets.
Big boy pallets, yeah.
We don't want you to think about pallets. You've got other things on your mind, like your business, your products. We just make sure they go from A to B to C and back to A. Efficient, hassle-free, and in the most sustainable way. We are that almost invisible foundation, combining future-proof logistics and state-of-the-art technology with a strong, natural material. That's our nature. We don't want you to think about pallets, but when you do, let them be red.
Yeah. I love that. I love the end. I really enjoyed the beginning. You really nailed it at the beginning, like what I was sort of asked to do. And then I felt like, I don't want to sound mean. It was like you went a bit sort of radio commercial. I thought a little bit. It gave me radio commercial vibes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I kind of lost the character a little bit. Interesting. I'll take that.
Only a little bit. It came back. It came. You hooked it back in. It's fun.
I think that's a good thing to say because actually I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, in those kind of middle lines, I think you're absolutely right. And it kind of came back with a strong natural material.
Yeah.
No, I think I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Funny enough, in that break, you're right. After state-of-the-art technology, that break allowed you to come back.
Yeah.
That felt quite, more grounded. Yeah. That's really interesting.
She's got a director future in her.
Hey.
She has.
I'll add it onto my belt with my ghosts.
Yes.
All of that.
Do you want to hear how I did it?
We absolutely want to hear how you did it.
Do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go. I've got a bit of a low range that I can dig out on the odd occasion. So that's what I did for this. So I go a bit deeper. So bear with me. Right. We don't want you to think about pallets. You've got other things on your mind, like your business, your products. We just make sure they go from A to B to C and back to A. Efficient, hassle-free, and in the most sustainable way. We are that almost invisible foundation, combining future-proof logistics and state-of-the-art technology with a strong, natural material. That's our nature. We don't want you to think about pallets. But when you do, let them be red.
Nice. That end line, we don't want you. I think you deliver that beautifully, and it's like, oh, I get you.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was such an interesting read because there was not a lot of inflection within it. There was a build and there was a force with it, which I thought was really interesting and would have worked really well, obviously, against the music. And it reminds me that I do quite a lot of work for BBC News.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of, internal videos and, and it has that same driving force. And if you take away the music, when I listen to myself, I think, God, I didn't inflect much. I didn't put a lot of, but that's not what they want.
That's not what they want, exactly.
Drive.
Yeah.
So that was so interesting to listen to, sort of naked, as it were, without the music. That was fascinating.
That was just their punchy thing that they wanted. And then I think with the deep thing, sometimes I lean into sultry. And I mean, pallets aren't hot.
But
it's not a sexy subject, is it? I guess
It might be a red palette. It's not wearing lingerie, though.
It's not an Ann Summers red palette. I mean, it might be. I don't know.
Could be.
I mean, I guess it could be, couldn't it? Yeah.
You can use these palettes for everything.
Right.
Well, okay, let's mix it up a bit, shall we?
Okay.
Let's go for the wild card bit of the show. So we're going to approach these scripts in a very different way, if we can.
Yes. So, Alex,
Yeah.
can you pick one of the scripts and give either of us, a new motivation or a character?
So, okay, I don't know if you're going to hate me for this. So, I've had Dick Van Dyke in my head all week because it was his birthday.
And who hasn't?
I know, right? I love him. And there was a clip of Mary Poppins the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I want to do my wild card like this. So, I want Mark.
Oh, you see, I was convinced you were going to go for Sam then. All right, okay. Well, let me just let you into a little secret.
Okay, go
Chim
on.
Chimney
Yeah.
is my karaoke go-to.
Oh, yes, this is perfect. This was always meant to happen. This is like a dream come true for you.
That could have been a true or false in future weeks, but now I've kind of given it away.
Blown it, but
Okay,
for such
so-
a good
Which
cause.
if you give me menopause, I'm going to die.
Oh my God. Okay. So I was going to give you menopause, but I think I might be pushing it too mean. No. Let's do pallets. I want you to sell me these pallets, but in the style of Dick Van Dyke from Mary Poppins, please.
Okie dokie.
Thank you so much.
I'm almost bouncing from one leg to the other.
Oh, please,
like you know when
please,
it
yes.
jumps over the pavement, the
Elbows,
pavement pictures.
elbows.
Oh yeah, okay. All right, Mary Poppins, we don't want you to think about pallets. You've got other things on your mind, like your business, your products. We just want to make sure they go from A to B to C and back to A. Efficient, hassle-free, and the most sustainable way. We're that almost invisible foundation, combining future-proof logistics and state-of-the-art technology with a strong natural material. That's our nature. We don't want you to think about pallets, but when you do, let them be red.
Yeah, I love that.
Sustainable way was just like, yes. You got the rhythm in that. Sustainable. I thought you were going to burst into song after Sustainable Way.
Do you know what? I was doing the whole arms and legs thing.
I bet you were.
I was also seeing the little birds flying, the little cartoon birds flying.
Of course.
You smashed that. I couldn't have asked for better. Dick Van Dyke would be so proud of you. Like, so proud.
That would be an honour, wouldn't it? Good Lord.
What a guy.
Well, heavens.
Okay, right. So, Alex.
Yes.
I am going to give you one that I was going to give to a lovely Mark.
Okay,
okay.
We're switching it up tonight. Okay.
Switching it up. Okay, so I would like you to I would like you to be a cheerful yet ditzy telephone operator.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
So, and I'd like you to do script one.
Okay,
You could
cool.
do either.
Yeah.
Actually, either would
Love it.
work, to be honest.
Right. Okay, cool. Did you know, statistically speaking, around 20% of any workforce is experiencing like some stage of like menopause, and 80% of those employers will be suffering from symptoms like sleep problems, mood changes, and difficulty concentrating. Oh, and like a whole host of other, like stuff they don't usually talk about. Do you know what I mean? Like sweats and that. Anyway, 80% of menopausal women say their organisation organisation has no basic structure in place, much like mine. Colin, can we sort that out, please? But expert menopause advice is essential if you want to maintain a happy and successful company, and if you want me to stay, Colin. And that's where we come in.
Love it. I mean, that was actually quite a rounded character, to be fair.
It was
right
brilliant.
from the get-go.
One of my favourite bits in it was when you kind of went off on a riff and you, like sweats and things. Night sweats. You know, I'm not going to talk about those now. I'm going to come back to it. It's so good. It was so good.
Really nice. Really nice. I don't think I would have done it that way, Sam. It's like, that was lovely, Alex.
I can give it to you another time, can't I? I can crack it out.
That's true. That's true. All right, then. One for you, Sam.
Yes?
I want you to imagine that you are an astronaut. And I want you to be on the moon. So imagine you've got all of the astronaut gear on.
Yes.
And you are weightless walking on the moon.
Okay, am I talking to another astronaut or am I?
No, you're talking
back
to
Earth?
ground control.
Ground control.
About pallets on the moon.
Pallets. Okay.
Okay.
Oh gosh, actually, that's quite difficult, isn't it?
You've got to channel you in a Bowie.
Yeah.
This is ground control.
This is ground control to Major Tom. Okay. So
quite claustrophobic, I reckon, being an astronaut. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I would not like it. I'd be like,
Nor
look,
me.
space is big and scary. Put me back down, please.
I think I've missed my astronaut calling. Right. So, okay. So I'm going back to ground control. Okay. We don't want you to think about pallets. No, you've got other things on your mind. Like, your business, your products. No, we just make sure they go from A to B to C and, back to A. Efficient, hassle-free, and in the most sustainable way. We are that most invisible foundation, combining future-proof logistics, can you hear me? State-of-the-art technology and, it's a strong natural material. Yes, that's our nature. We don't want you to think about pallets. Can you hear me? But when you do, let them be red.
Yeah,
Nice,
Sam,
nice,
that was
nice.
amazing. I loved that. I totally felt that you were floating about and these words were just gravitating out. Well, no gravitating out of your mouth. Like it was, proper bouncy. I felt that. That was
The
great.
bouncing from A to B to C was almost like you were jumping from one thing to another. I thought that was lovely.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to play along in the privacy of your own booth, whether you're on the moon or elsewhere, as I've said before, we've put the scripts in the show notes so you can have a try yourself.
Yes.
That's nice.
That's kind.
Isn't that kind that everyone can try out?
We try.
So now, Alex,
Yeah.
people ask you, I think, a lot about your website, your
They do,
branding
yeah.
on your website quite a bit, and it is quite quirky.
Just like you, by the sound. of it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
very you. Yeah, how did you go about developing that?
You know, when you start your career and you're doing your bits and you're like, right, I need a website. And when I was looking at all of these templates that are available on Wix or Squarespace or whatever, they're all just very normal. And it's a picture of a microphone and, or it's black and grey pictures or whatever.
Yep.
And although that's totally fine if that suits who you are as a person, but I really wanted to sell myself. And I kept watching workshops or talking to people, and people were like, think about you as a brand. Like, who are you selling? Who are people employing? And I was like, right, well, I'm a bit like I'm like a toddler but grown up, and like one thing I really struggled with was having to write a bio about myself, because it just took me back to school days, and I was like, I don't care, I'm finding this boring reading it, like I don't want to write it, no one's going to want to read it. My partner came up with the idea. He was like, why don't you have like a poem? And I was like, yes, poem, great. So wrote a poem in the about me bit, and then that switched things up. And then I was like, do you know what, like anything on my website can be whatever I want it to be. So if I want it to be filled with weird characters or fun like colours or weird pictures, whatever, I can actually do that because there's no rules, essentially.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've seen it before anyway, but when I looked at it again today, you know what the immediate feeling is? I want to go and listen to your character reels.
Yes, absolutely, Sam. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
All those guys sitting on my head, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's fun. I think it raises
really
questions, and I think that's really good because it kind of raised character questions for me as well.
Yeah. That was the idea. See, I got you in.
See?
But I wanted something that when you open it, it screams me in your face, and I think that's
which it does.
Which it does.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think that's what we achieved. So. Yeah,
and it makes it really memorable. I think because of it, because as I say, I went to look at it today because, obviously we were coming on to chat to you. And then I thought, oh my God, yes, I've seen this fabulous website before. It's really memorable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then obviously shout out to Helen B as well, who helped me put it all together and actually.
Oh, it was Helen that helped you put it together, was it?
My partner designed everything, but but Helen, I was like, Helen, I don't know how to make pages. And she was like, you're an idiot. Have this, or like we sorted some stuff out. She didn't quite say it. She was obviously very professional.
It is quirky. Have you had a kind of quirky response to it?
I think I've had more people being like, hello, I've been fangirling over your website. How do I do that?
Exactly.
I'm like, okay. I'm happy to give any of my advice mainly for anyone who wants to make their website pop, if you want to use that term. Just embed yourself into that thing. If you want to have like a cool, sultry, black and white style website and it is who you are, then absolutely lap that up. But I just went, no, I'm a bit weird and I'm a bit noisy and mildly irritating. So it's just like throw and just like puke that onto a screen, and that's exactly what it is. So just and don't be frightened of. I think people might think, because it's a website, it's got to be really overly professional or serious. But I'm just not that person, and that's the thing that I really struggle to connect with. It's like when you post things on LinkedIn, and everyone's like, it's got to be. It makes because it feels very businessy. It feels like you have to behave a certain way. But actually, I don't really think that's the case.
So authenticity even in websites?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Because I want, like, if people come to my website and they're not looking for who I am, like that type of person, then that's fine. You're not always going to be the voice, are you? So,
No.
but I really, what I want to attract, the type of work that I want to attract is what my website is selling.
Yeah.
So it's
Totally.
sort of it's that thing.
And I think that's key, because if you were selling a corporate service, which I'm sure you can do corporate absolutely beautifully, but
I do
first and
plenty,
foremost, that's exactly not necessarily what you're pushing for. But I actually modern corporate, absolutely. Anyway, it just depends. If you were going to do really traditional corporate stuff, and if that was where you're going to hang your hat, maybe I don't know, medical or lawyers or something like that, then you'd create a very different sort of a website.
Yeah, for sure.
Perhaps.
Yeah, just try and shout you. You know yourself better than most. So just be like, look, if you're just I don't know, if you're really into Wellington boots, just cover the whole thing in Wellington boots. Hang on.
My quote of the episode is puke it on the screen. Brilliant stuff. Alix, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed it.
I've loved it. I really had a good time. And thank you for having me. I feel very special being included into your list.
It's an absolute pleasure. A reminder that all of Alix Perry's details can be found in the show notes.
They can, as can the scripts, the lovely scripts for practice.
Indeed. That's it for this week. Thanks again to Alix Perry. We'll be back next week with more scripts and another voiceover guest. This is where we do it all together, Alix, as you know. We'll be asking, how do you say that?
How do you say that?